Welcome, seekers of the paranormal. And listen in as we dive into the eerie and unexplained. So turn off the lights as we join Dustin and Luke in exploring the unknown. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Exploring the Unknown, where I'm in my car this time. What's going on, buddy?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I got some McDonald's. Just came out of my appointment. We're doing pretty good.
Let's go.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about who's coming on, because I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
We have someone coming on today who's she's a Bigfoot researcher. She had 2 encounters with a Bigfoot.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I think I seen it on the schedule. Is it Gwendolyn?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to talk to her. I feel like I look really Asian.
You look fine.
Oh, I'm looking at my picture and I look really Asian. It's probably because my picture on my screen's this big. I have to do this from my phone. So.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good, how are you?
Perfect.
I like your background.
Thank you. My creepy doll back there. Everybody makes comments on my creepy doll.
Is it haunted?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
This lady buys old porcelain dolls and paints them to look creepy, so I don't know where she came from, but she's really cool.
That's really interesting. That is cool. That is very cool. I'm sorry, I gotta look at it a little closer. Wow. I love it. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh. I've been having paranormal experiences since I was probably 4. And in every house I've lived in, I've had some kind of ghostly presence in my house. And then, I started paranormal investigating when I got older, of course. And then a couple years ago, I saw a Bigfoot, and it's just been down that rabbit hole ever since.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You've had all kinds of experiences then.
It is very interesting. I live in a haunted house, so we have all that too. But
oh wow.
Yeah, never a dull moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you do Bigfoot research as well?
Yep. Lots of Bigfoot research. I don't have to go far. Cool. I think I have one in the woods outside my house. So.
Oh wow. What's that like?
If you ask my husband, it's creepy. Because sometimes they throw things at us. So we'll be outside and my husband will be doing something and you'll hear this rock clearing the leaves and then it lands 5 feet from us and he's like, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "Yep, I saw that." He's like, "I'm going in the house."
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what throws anything like that, but
have you ever gotten hit with anything? Have they ever hit you with any?
No, I've never gotten hit with anything. It's more, I kind of get it. It's more like a, "Hey, I'm here. Either don't come over here or I just want you to know that I'm here."
Mm-hmm.
If something comes sailing through the woods at us, I just, I don't go to find out. I just stay where I'm at. It's interesting. It's always interesting here.
Yeah. So how long you been doing Bigfoot research?
Since February of 21.
Okay.
So still fairly new into it, but have learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other kind of experiences have you had with Bigfoot? Have you actually seen one, or?
I've had 2 Class A sightings. I went to Salt Fork this past September and had Bigfoot actually. This is kind of crazy because I went Friday night. I slept in my Bronco. I have a Bronco, and it was just me. My husband couldn't go, so I slept in my Bronco at this big group camp out thing they were having. And I woke up Saturday morning. We went to look at a place we were going to investigate Saturday night. It was down a dirt road. So when we came back from checking out the place, I noticed this handprint on the back of my car. It was huge. It's probably 17 inches across. And everywhere I touched the car, there were no fingerprints dusted, just these. And I was like, no shit. So Saturday night, I'm sleeping in my Bronco, and it was getting a little hot in there, and I woke up and it was like 4:20 in the morning because I checked my phone to see what time it was.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just enough moonlight that you could just see, silhouettes and stuff. Well, something was standing directly behind my car. Like if I would have opened the window, I could have touched it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what the hell is that? Because I pulled into this spot, so there should be nothing standing there. No tree or a telephone pole or anything. And I remember thinking, I can't see shoulders or a head. Like I'm seeing the midsection of whatever it is that's standing there. And I'm thinking, I started to panic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to move because I don't want to freak it out and have it like bust out my window, grab me by the ankle and rip me out the back of my car. I'm going worst case scenario, right? Mm-hmm. So I just laid down and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And I'm like looking out the side windows to see if anybody's awake. Nobody's awake. The fire's dead. Everybody's in their tents. And I thought, I'm just going to lay here and see if I hear it walking away. Then I didn't hear anything. I look up about 15 minutes later and it's gone.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, what the freak was that? So I get up in the morning, I pack my shit, and I leave. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just got up, was like, see everybody, and I left. And I'm driving home, I'm talking to my husband, and I'm like, you're never going to guess what happened last night. He goes, you got to tell Bill, who organized the whole thing. So I called Bill. He calls me back, and he says, I tell him what happened. And he said that Patty Frey, who was directly across from me sleeping in a tent, got out of the tent about the same time. She saw something standing there and she looked at it through her FLIR camera. And there was a very tall Bigfoot standing there. But her FLIR doesn't take pictures.
Oh.
So it's an older style FLIR. So we got no photo evidence of it. But I was thinking to myself, I'm like talking to my husband, and I'm like, if you... From my Bronco, from the ground to the top of the car, it's got to be like 5.5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So figure I didn't see shoulders or a head. So this thing had to be
over that, yeah.
7 foot, maybe. I don't know. Like it was incredible. I came home. That is
incredible.
I got my Cricut transfer tape. Got the fingerprints off the back of my car. Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
That's awesome.
Did you get any pictures of the print on your car by chance?
I did.
Would you mind sharing that with us? That'd be great.
No, absolutely. I absolutely took pictures of this. It was insane. I took the pictures while I was still at Salt Fork. So let me see here. Pull them up. And then I framed them so I could take them to festivals and stuff with me so everybody could see them.
Yeah.
You're going to be at that festival in Somerset, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to that.
I think I'm speaking there. I think. Okay, let me see here.
Hey, Luke, that's not the same one that we had put our application in for, is it? That's a different one, right?
That's a different one. That's the one 5 minutes from our cabin. Up in Bakersville.
Yeah, we have a convention that we're going to be going to in September. We're going to set up and record people and their experiences.
Oh, nice. So, is that the one for Daniel Benoit?
No, it's for Eric. Eric something.
Altman, I think his name is.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Should be coming through. I sent it. I sent it to your email or messenger, Luke.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so I framed it in like a 8x10 frame. from the dust from the road, just collected on the oils in the fingerprint.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "Oh, that's your fingerprint." And I'm like, "But I'm opening and closing the hatch on my Bronco. Like everywhere I touched, the door handles of my car, everywhere. My fingerprints were not dusty." So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, there's no way. Those are too big to be your fingerprints.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a big.
Really got to stretch my fingers out to even come close. Like, it's really crazy.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Is it okay if we post that on our Facebook?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. That's
You're
awesome.
welcome. It blew my mind. It was really crazy. Because I got out of the car and I walked around the back and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I'm like looking, I'm like, oh my God, that's a handprint.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to stretch my fingers out. I'm like, no, that's really a huge fingerprint, handprint. And everybody's coming over and they're looking at it and we're like, this is crazy. Like, it was insane.
That is
I'm
amazing.
dying to go back. I want to go back.
Yeah. Where did you say that was?
Salt Fork State Park in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I would love to get out there and
We're actually having a big group
investigate.
camp out in April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's when is it? The 25th through the 28th of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sleep in my Bronco again, see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm too cheap to be in a tent. I want to be in my hard Bronco.
Yeah, I think I'd be kind of.
Can't push the tent into me. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be locked nice and snug in the back of my Bronco.
It's probably warmer in there.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So is this the first convention that you were going to speak at, or have you spoke at other? You said you spoke at other ones.
Yeah, I've spoken at other ones. I've spoken 2 years in a row down in South Carolina at the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival in Westminster.
Yeah.
I've spoken a couple times there, and I've done a couple library presentations for high schools. So that's fun. The kids are interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, yeah, right. Other ones are like glued to you. They're like, I watch all the shows.
Yeah. My daughter, she's real into it too. She was like, "Dad, is Bigfoot real?" And I'm like, "I think he might be."
Yeah, he is. He's definitely. I never believed in Bigfoot before, and don't ask me why. Because if I can believe in ghosts, and I believe in that there's aliens out there. Of course, the government's kind of backed that up by releasing all these, secure documents. But I don't know. I just never was into the Bigfoot thing until I saw this gigantic big black thing walking across the cornfield 1,000 feet from my house. And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, that's not a person. They're not wearing any clothes. It's like black from head to toe. I'm like, all day I was like, what the hell did I just see? And then I started secretly researching Bigfoot, reports in our area. And there were some. And I was like, oh my God, it can't be anything else. That's what I had to have seen. It was insane. And it's been down the hole ever since.
Yeah. Have you ever gifted or anything like that?
No. He has gifted me quite a few things. Golf balls, mostly. There's a golf course 2.5 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And we get golf balls in our backyard all the time. And I'm if somebody's hitting a golf ball 2.5 miles, they should probably be playing with Tiger Woods.
Right.
And I don't think a squirrel or a raccoon would carry them that far. I mean, maybe.
I don't think so.
That's a lot. That's a long way. So, yeah. And I've gotten rocks.
Mm-hmm.
On top of our chicken coop. We have metal roofing.
Yeah.
And I've gotten palm-sized rocks on the top of the chicken coop. And I'm like, well, they're not falling from the sky.
Oh, gee.
Rocks aren't falling out of the trees. Something sat it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I take them. He gifts them to me, I take them. But
yeah,
and we collect the golf balls. So
that's really cool. That's really cool.
But I've people say I should gift him like an apple pie or food or something, but this is my backyard and I'm kind of leery about,
Yeah.
If you feed a bear, they're going to keep coming back. And if
They'll
you're not
demand it.
don't feed them, what happens after that?
Right.
So, I don't. I tried to give him a fluorescent orange golf ball, but he didn't take it.
Oh.
So
He figures those are your golf balls.
I even marked it, like, so that I knew that it was the golf ball that I laid there, and he didn't take it. So,
Did you have any questions or anything, Luke?
Yeah, I'm kind of just listening and keeping an eye on the baby.
Okay. So what do you think gifting is?
I don't know. I've heard of people like leaving out peanut butter jars and, they tighten the lids on super tight and then they get the jar back and it's empty and the lid's back on. And I'm like, well, I don't know that a raccoon or somebody would put a lid back on a jar. Like they're going to rip the jar apart and you're just going to find it on the ground. I've heard of other people and their gifting of different things. And I just don't know if it's, I don't know. And part of it is because I don't know exactly what Bigfoot is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody's got their theories. I don't like hone in on one particular theory. If I see him coming out of a portal, I'll believe he's interdimensional. If I see him beamed down by a spaceship, okay, I'll be like, yep, he's an alien. Until then, I'm not really, like, I don't know what the purpose of him leaving me a rock is. Like, is it a friendly gesture? Is it I don't really know. It's not like he's writing on the rock, hi, this is Bigfoot. You just want to say hi.
Right.
It's a rock. I don't know what that is supposed to mean exactly. If he's just letting me know he's there. I had an experience, my girlfriend and I would camp out in the yard. And Bigfoot seemed to love the two of us. I'm not sure like what that was about, but I would always set out a voice recorder on the chair right outside our tents. And we have gotten some of the craziest things. Of course, footsteps, things walking around our tents. I got one morning, it was me in my tent and Carrie and her husband in the other tent. And I heard giggling, like I heard it. It woke me up. And I was like, oh, I just dismissed it. I'm like, Carrie and Steve must be giggling about something or whatever. And I rolled over and went back to sleep. Well, in the morning when I got up, Carrie's sitting by the fire and she's like waiting for me. And I'm like, hey, good morning. She's like, what do you say to your chickens? And I'm like, I say, good morning, ladies. Like when I go out to feed them, I talk to them, I'm like, hey girls, what's going on? And she said, she heard my voice come from the chicken coop at like 6:00 in the morning. She thought I was awake, came out to talk to me, and I was sound asleep in the tent.
Wow.
And when I played back the audio recording, I heard that giggle that I heard on the radio. And I had asked Carrie about it, and she said, no, we weren't giggling. Like, I was like,
oh, wow.
What the hell's happening? Like, it was insane. And we had one particular night when I heard something walking around the tent, and I literally could not move.
Yeah.
And I sleep with a gun on the floor of the tent because you just don't know. Like, Pennsylvania is not supposed to have mountain lions, but we do. And, I don't know if it's a bear or, whatever. So I sleep with a gun in my tent. And I was so paralyzed with fear that I couldn't even reach for the gun that was laying 2 inches from me. Like,
oh, geez.
I was literally afraid to move. Like, it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd like to think I'd be that big tough girl that would just open up the tent and run out, but no, I'm not that girl.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
I'm not even gonna blink because he might hear my eyes close. Like, but it's just crazy insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of other encounters or situations where they've heard voices, and mimicry is what it is.
Yeah. And I'm like, he has had to be watching me for quite a long time for him to mimic my voice. Like, I mean, when I first moved into this house with my husband, this was his house before, and I always got this real creepy feeling from the woods. You know, he was like, I think you're just crazy. You know, I'm like, no, the woods is creepy. Like, I feel like I'm being watched all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the neighbor even said that her kids wouldn't play in the yard because they felt like they were being watched all the time.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, well, that's kind of crazy. So my husband worked away. Like I think he was in Seattle or somewhere. And my neighbor's back door faces my yard, and it's a double glass sliding door. And his sister reads tarot cards. So they were like, why don't you come up and just, so you're not home by yourself, you know, come up and hang out with us. My sister's here. She's doing tarot card readings. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, I'm not necessarily a believer in tarot cards at this point, you know? So I go up there and she's reading my cards, and she stops in the middle of the reading and points to the tree behind my chicken coop and says, you need to go down to that tree and somebody wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, hell no. No, no. The woods creep me out, right? So I'm like, I'm not going down there. And she's like, no, I'm serious. Something wants to talk to you. You need to go down there, clear your mind, and just sit because something wants to talk to you. And I'm like, you can get the hell out of here. I'm not going down there. Not going down there. And then for 2 weeks, every time I walked outside, I'm like looking at this tree, and because she pointed to that gray tree, right? I'm like, oh Jesus. So every time I go outside, I'm like looking at this tree, thinking, not today, Satan. No, about the business. I'm not going down there. And one day I just got mad. And I was like, I marched on down there, stood there, and was like, okay, here I am, say what you got to say. And I didn't know about infrasound at this time, but I literally had every ounce of energy drained from me, and it took all I had to walk back to the house. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My husband's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. Like, I feel nauseous. I'm just completely drained. He says, well, do you want to watch a movie with me? And I said, no, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I got to go lay down. And it took 3 days to recover, like, till I felt like I was myself again. And then I was like, I'm certainly not going down to the woods, right?
Right.
No, not going down there. But I go down there now because I go out in the woods on our property and, check things out and see what's new and what's not new and see if I can find prints. But
yeah,
it's just crazy. It's just crazy here. I don't have to go far to go Bigfoot researching.
Right in your own backyard. Have you ever found any prints or anything?
I have found 2 prints, but our yard is not, we have a very shale yard. It's just full of shale, and it's full of little tiny rock pebbles everywhere. I passed one of the prints, and it just is, I take it with me everywhere I go, and I'm like, listen, my yard's really crappy. It's full of like pebbles and stones, and it's not a great print, but you can make out a little bit on it. It looks like a juvenile print is what it looks like, but it's definitely not wearing a shoe. Like, it's definitely got toes. But the other print I didn't lift because it just wasn't, I just didn't cast it because I thought, but I did mark it. I did measure it. I did take photos of it, the whole 9 yards. It's a decent print.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Would you mind sending those over? We can post them on our Facebook, or if you want to share them on here. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been crazy. We're doing an expedition too in the Allegheny National Forest. We have it's in July, I think. We're doing a investigation there that anybody can attend, and I found a really nice print there, but it was so sopping wet you couldn't cast the darn thing. Like, it had just rained like a monsoon, like, the couple of days before we went out there, and it was a hot mess, that print. I couldn't cast it, but checking out the 9,000 folders I have in my phone. Yeah, I always have 9,000 pictures in this phone.
I just had to clean out my phone the other day.
Yeah, I have 26,000 photos in my phone.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I'm a photo. I take pictures and document everything. Absolutely everything. So this is the print from my house that I did not cast. And I don't know what it is about photos, but you take a photo of something and it just doesn't look as good as it does in person. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
crazy that I found in the Bigfoot in the there we go. No, this isn't it either. We did see these really cool twisted trees. I found some twisted trees that I couldn't find the end of the tree to in the Alleghenies.
Yeah.
We looked all over for where the rest of the tree was. It was nowhere. Could not find it to save our lives.
That's wild.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's been crazy. I go all over the place. I've had experiences in South Carolina, went to New Jersey, Ohio. I've been to Virginia. I love checking things out, all different places, everywhere we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to get out there and see what
Different
else is
areas,
out there.
people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Okay, where's the photos from the Allegheny? 9,000 freaking albums too, because I split everything up into albums, so I know I can easily find stuff, and then I can't easily find it anyway.
You're more organized than I am.
Right,
I
my
try to
pictures are
be.
just everywhere.
Yeah, here it is. The photo or the footprint from the Alleghenies was a really good one.
This child is going to be the death of me today. She won't stop fussing.
She knows you're busy. She wants to be with you and be busy with you.
That's it. That's it.
I just had a really weird paranormal experience just last week. I've been to a lot of different paranormal things where I've been with some psychic that looks at me and says you have abilities you should develop, but nobody tells you how you're supposed to do that. So you
Yeah.
Google, how to develop your psychic abilities. Try that one time if you want a good read.
I've been down that rabbit hole.
Please. So I, on a whim, we went to my girlfriend's house, and her husband's mom had just passed away within the last year. She's passed away. They have her ashes at their house, and it seriously was a whim. Like I called her and literally said, "Hey, are you guys home? We haven't seen you in a while. We're going to stop over." So we're sitting there and we're talking to her and her husband, and her husband is talking to me. He's talking about his mom. And I'm looking at their kitchen window, and this is the very first time this has ever happened, and it really was freaky. I saw in his kitchen window an image of a woman's face. And I'm staring at it because I'm like, and is this, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Because like, I'm not real clear on, like, things pop into my head all the time and I don't know where they come from. So I'm always like, I don't trust it because, like, they're just random things. I'm not doing anything that has anything to do with this thought that pops in my head. So I kind of just dismiss things because I don't know where they come from or what they're supposed to mean. And I still don't know what abilities I have, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting there on their couch and I'm looking at the kitchen window. I'm staring at the window and I'm like, am I really seeing this woman's face? Like, this is insane. And Scott's noticing that I'm staring at something. And he's like, Gwen, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not. I literally was like, I don't know what to say. I'm just not going to say anything. And Nikki's like, no, what were you thinking? And I'm like, do you want me to be honest? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I saw a woman's face in your kitchen window a second ago. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I saw the image of a woman in your kitchen window. He's like, well, what did she look like? And I said, she was young. I mean, young as in, like, not teenager 20s, I'd say. She was probably in her 30s or so. And I'm like, she had short black hair. And he's just looking at me. And I'm like, was your mom thin with short black hair? And he said, no. And I'm like, was she? I've never met Scott's mom. She lived in Illinois, so I've not even seen pictures of her. And I'm like, was she ever thin? And he he's looking at me and he whips out his iPad and he finds this photo of his mom from when she was in her 30s and he shows it to me and I'm like, holy shit, that was who was in your kitchen window. It looked exactly like her.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's just looking at me and he says, I got to tell you something that's really freaky. And I'm like, what's that? His mom passed away of breast cancer and his sister just found a lump in her breast and was at getting an MRI. And she's claustrophobic. So she was like starting to freak out in the MRI machine. And the image of a young 30-something woman with short black hair, this woman came to her while she was in the MRI machine to like try to calm her down. It was his mother. And for her sister to see the same woman that I saw in their kitchen was kind of incredible. They have a grandson who just turned 1. And he's always over in that area where her ashes are. And they say he plays over there all the time. And he's been saying the word nanny. And Nikki wants to be called Gigi. So she's always saying, come here to Gigi, come here to Gigi. She's never saying nanny. And Nikki, we're sitting there talking and Nikki's like, yeah, he keeps saying nanny. And they were talking about this and I'm shaking my head no. And she goes, what? And I'm like, he's not calling you nanny. And she's just looking at me and I'm like, he's talking about Scott's mom. And Scott goes, we used to call her Nani. And I said, he's 1 year old. He can't pronounce the word correctly. So he's calling her Nanny, not Nani.
Yeah, that's wild.
Scott was like, what? I'm like, I gotta go. Because I'm getting emotional. Like, I it's time for me to leave. Before anything else happens. Like, I cried on the way home. I was so, like, overcome with emotion. I was like, I can't do this. We're going home.
Aww.
It was incredible.
They say babies can see that type of thing.
Yeah, and he is always over there playing. I'm like, she's playing with him.
My 1 year always says Pat Pat. My Pat Pat passed away like 10 years ago.
Oh.
And she always points to like the ceiling or some random corner of the wall and she's like, Pat Pat, Pat Pat.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. It gives you the chills, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was real close with my pap before he passed away. And when she was born, my grandma called me and she's like, your pap just visited me. And she said he's very proud of you or something like that.
Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. I love that. Those messages from the other side. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing.
Now you say that you live in a haunted house.
Yeah, I live in a haunted house. I live with during COVID, we've had a bunch of weird things happening. So during COVID, we had a paranormal team come to the house and they did an investigation and they brought with them a psychic. And the psychic said that we have 4 entities in the house. She could only make out 2 of them. One was a man, one was a woman. I'm like, okay. So we didn't say anything about these ghosts being in the house. Mike's parents got COVID, so they came to live with us for a few months after they were released from the hospital. And my mother-in-law comes out of the bedroom one morning, the bedroom where the ghosts are. It's where we put them. She comes out one morning and she's like frantic. She's like, I got to tell you what happened. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I woke up to go to the bathroom and she said there was a woman sitting on the edge of my bed. And I was like, okay, because we didn't tell her about any of this, right? So she had no idea.
Yeah.
She said, I got scared. I pulled the covers up over my head. She said, when I pulled them back down, she said the woman was still there, but there was a man and a woman standing at the end of the bed. Okay. And she said, a child came out of the closet and walked out of the bedroom into the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, well, that's our 4 ghosts right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the man, the woman, the paranormal psychic that was here said that the man is a German-speaking man. He speaks in German.
Okay.
We're like, who the hell would that be? Like, neither one of us know any of, like, I don't know of anybody in my family that spoke German And if they did, they were passed away long before I came along. So why would they
Mm-hmm.
be here with me, right? So we figured it out. He bought at an antique store a German matchbook. It's got like the German symbol on the top of the matchbook, and it actually has the original matches still in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we think whoever owned that matchbook came home with us from the antique store. But he
Oh.
likes to follow me around. So I know he's there when I get this flash of cold breeze that goes by me. I
Uh-huh.
know that he's there. The one woman I actually think is my grandmother, the woman that sits on the edge of the bed, because she has done that with me several times, just to
Mm-hmm.
sit on the edge of the bed. It's almost like she's watching out for you, like keep, and I've had like, I'm a paramedic on the ambulance. Some days, sometimes I have a really bad day and I come home and I'm just sitting at the kitchen table and I got this like really cold hand on my shoulder. Like it's going to be okay, and I was like,
Yeah.
you just freeze. You're just like, something's touching me.
Uh-huh.
Something's touching me. The little kid I think I brought home from work with me. I had a drowning. This was quite a few years ago of a 4-year-old. And we worked very hard on that, and he did not make it. And
Mm.
for whatever reason, I think he might have came home with me. So I think that's who the little boy is. That's the gut feeling that I get, that it's this
Yeah.
little boy from this one drowning. Like I've had several, but I think it's this one little kid from a drowning. The other woman, I'm not sure who the heck she is, but we have an entity in the garage as well, and she is a woman. The night the paranormal team was there, they set up video cameras in all different places.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was in the garage, and we had taken the cars out of the garage, so they had like clearer view of everything in the garage. And we're all standing in the kitchen of the house. We're like talking about what the plan's going to be, who's going to go where, And I'm watching the video cameras because I'm just fascinated. And I saw this Rubbermaid tote get thrown into the middle of the garage bay, and it was like rocking back and forth from being thrown. And I was like, "Did you see that?" I'm like yelling. And so when they were all like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So when they reviewed the footage the week later, I got a message from them saying, "You did see that." Because she clearly threw that Rubbermaid tote. It didn't just fall over, like it was tossed out in the middle of
Yeah.
the garage floor. And I was like, I told you I saw that. I freaking told you I saw that. But then they did an EVP session and they asked her if she was a man or a woman, and she said a woman.
Oh,
But
wow.
she's actually not very nice. She's pushed me down we have an upstairs to our garage, which I use for a studio. She has pushed me down the stairs twice. Like to the point where I had to go to the emergency room both times because I thought I broke my ankle the one time, and the second time she tossed me down the stairs, like I just hurt everywhere and ended up in the emergency room just make sure I didn't have anything broken.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
she's not very nice. I don't go out to the studio very often anymore, and I'm very careful when I do. Like I'm got my hands on the rails and like because she will turn the lights on. Like we have garage, the garage door opener lights.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you enter the garage, both garage door things light up so that you can see everything. Well, the light would come on and off. Like you'd be outside and the garage light would come on and you'd be like, what the hell? And you go over there and it's only the garage light above my car, not the other one. And I'm like, that is so bizarre because if you walk into the garage, they both come on.
Yeah.
And this is just my car is coming on. And I'm like, this was happening for like a full straight week. So I went out there one day and was like, listen, whoever you are in the garage, we know you're here. We see you. We hear you. Like, please stop turning the lights on and off. And she did for a while. Like the lights just didn't come on anymore for a while. So I don't know if she just needs validation every now and again. And maybe we're not giving it to her, so she knocked me down the stairs. But twice I've actually been pushed down the stairs.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
wild.
she's not very nice. I don't stay much in the garage when I'm out there.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
I go in, get what I need, and I get the hell out. I don't stick around. She's kind of creepy. Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, you've definitely had a lot of experiences.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you
God.
do.
When I was 4, what started this whole thing for me was I remember when being 4 years old and seeing a man standing in our living room. He
Hmm.
was a dark figure and he wore a hat. He never moved. Like he just stood there. But different days he would be in different places. But he just stood there. Like he didn't move around or anything. And I remember seeing this guy and I didn't think anything of it because when you're 4 years old, you just assume everybody sees the guy in the living room, right? So it wasn't until a couple of years ago I was saying to my mom about paranormal stuff, and I was like, I remember seeing a guy in our living room, and she was like, "What guy?" And I'm like, "You never saw the guy, the dark guy in the living room?" She's like, "No." And I'm like, she's like, "Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just assumed everybody saw the shadow figure in the living room." Like now I'm
Yeah,
learning one of those hat man kind of things, you know, because he wore a
yeah,
hat, but he never did anything. He just stood there in the living room. So I don't know what his purpose was or what he was there for, but you know, I never was afraid of him. Like I just noted that he was there. I remember this very vividly. Like I can still see him today standing in the living room. But nobody else saw the guy. So I don't know what that's about, but that's that was my first like experience with paranormal was having this man in the living room. And I didn't even know it was paranormal until much later in life.
yeah,
Weird.
That's exactly what I thought it was happening whenever you
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah. It's crazy. And now looking back, knowing Hat Man stuff and shadow figure stuff, I'm like, that's kind of creepy because
Hmm.
they're not
yeah,
necessarily known to be nice entities, you know, or what their purpose is. But I don't. It was just weird. It was just weird.
My brother
yeah.
saw someone in a hat once before when he was a young guy.
Yeah.
Now, do you
So it's
think that, uh, like we, as we look more into the paranormal or cryptids or things like that, that we have more experiences because we are becoming more focused on that specifically, or do you think it's like an attraction thing? Like they know, they see that we're open to it, so they're coming in to give us the experience.
as far as the paranormal goes, I think they see that we're open to it, and I think if because my husband never noticed anything like until I started pointing things out. Like we had a glass go missing for 2 years. And then just one day it was on the kitchen counter when we come upstairs at breakfast. Like it was just there. We've searched everywhere for this glass because we had a pair of them. And then all of a sudden we had one. And now we've got two. We've had a plate missing for the last 2 years. You know, we bought a brand new set of dishes for 8 people. And I only had 7 plates because one of them went. I still don't know where it is. It hasn't shown up. It's never shown up. But he never noticed anything. And I think it's because he's not open to the paranormal where
Hmm.
I've had these experiences my whole life. So when things happen, I'm like, you know, I'm automatically attuned to it. Like,
Hmm.
and I don't necessarily get afraid of things right away. And he's just like, what? As far as the paranormal goes, I think they see that you're open. They know that you're open. I don't know if it's a change in your aura. Some people say the color of your aura is different and they notice the color and they know that they can interact with you or approach you. So as far as cryptids go, I tend to think the same way that somehow, some way they know that they can interact with you or communicate with you or, you
Hmm.
know, I don't necessarily believe, I mean, if I have it happen to me, I'll believe it. But the people that say they mind speak, I've not had that experience. Like, I've never had things just, I mean, at least not from a Bigfoot anyway. You know, when that happens, I'll believe the mind speak thing. I don't know if they can, I just don't know. Like, if it's a flesh and blood creature, I've never had my dog pop thoughts into my head, you know? So, like, I just don't know how that would work, but I tend to think they can sense that you can tell that they're there or they can communicate with you. You know, and dogs and cats can tell if you're a good person or not a good person. So I would like to think that if it is a flesh and blood creature, it could probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But if there's more to it than that, maybe they can see our auras, or maybe they can tell that we're open to them. I'm not. The cryptid thing's a little different.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Or what it is, I just don't know how they. I don't know if they just. Well, hey, that girl over there, she's open. We can go, toy with her. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. My mom and I joke all the time. We say that we have this invisible light that not everybody can see, but spirits can see it. And if it's on, then they know they can communicate with you.
Absolutely. I believe that. I believe that.
Oh, man. But do you have any other experiences that you'd like to share with us? Any events or anything you want to plug?
I actually have a cryptid festival coming up in August 3rd in Elysburg, Pennsylvania. It's the Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival. It'll be our second year. The first year we had over 5,000 people, which was insane. That was really incredible. And it's an outdoor event, and it's free to the public. We just charge to see the speakers that come. We have a water balloon fight for the kids. I cut out 1,000 Bigfoot footprints out of sponges by hand. Till the end, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have carpal tunnel. But the kids had a great time. They threw these Bigfoot-shaped sponges at each other. They thought it was fantastic.
That's great.
We had a Bigfoot calling contest. That was excellent. There was a lot of good Bigfoot callers that came out. And, well, unfortunately, we didn't have any food vendors because none of them showed up. But this year we have 5, and they have promised me they were going to be there no matter what. So it's going to be a good time. We have a couple of bands that are going to be playing, so there'll be some live music. I purchased, oh my gosh, 6 or 7 costumes. One of them is a Bigfoot, of course. We have a Wendigo, we have a ghost, we have a shadow person, we have a Mothman. So we're going to have different characters walking around, interacting with the kids and stuff. So it's going to be fun.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like a great time.
It's going to be good. It's in central Pennsylvania, so you guys are not too far away.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to look into that. Maybe we can stop up.
Bring the kids.
Not too far away.
That's awesome. Well, Luke, did you have anything that you wanted to ask or add?
Well, if you want to send me all the links to the things, we can post them on our page.
Absolutely, I will. Absolutely.
Awesome.
All the events, and we'll try to make it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
On our work schedule.
We're going to have people camping in my yard. Like some of the speakers want to camp in the yard to see if they get any Bigfoot experiences. So you're really welcome to pitch a tent in the yard.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry I haven't talked too much. The baby's been fussing. I wasn't trying to have her on making so much noise. I try to avoid that.
He wants to be a part of the podcast too.
She sits in the chair like she does.
Well, hey, Gwendolyn, we really enjoyed this today. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. This was great. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, she's a cutie.
She's quiet.
Yep, she just wanted on the show. That's all.
That's it.
Yes, well, thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody, for listening to another episode of Exploring the Unknown, or watching it if you're on our YouTube. And if you are on our YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share. You know how it works. We really do appreciate it. Word of mouth is definitely going to be what gets our name out there. And this was a great episode. Luke and I really enjoyed listening to Gwendolyn's stories, and we look forward to checking into the events that she has going on. And we'll post all those links and everything on our Facebook page for you all to check it out as well. But yeah. Did you have anything else to add? I think that's it.
Sure.
Okay.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys later.